All right, so math, lesson 105. We're going to be doing some more three-digit subtraction, this time where we practice renaming the 100s. Yesterday, we did some work where we renamed in the ones place. But today we're going to work on what happens if that can happen there where we take a 10 over to the ones. Can that happen also in the hundreds place? And it can, and I'll show you how. Okay, the math problem, this is number 1 on your worksheet that will be due today, says 624 minus 341. We're going to start in the ones place as we always do. We will rename if needed. 4 minus 1. Can we take 1 away from this? Yes. So no need to rename. 4 minus 1 equals 3. Now we need to take 4 tens away from 2 tens, which isn't possible. So we're going to go to the hundreds place, and we will take this 100 and rename it into the tens, okay? So we'll write this and we'll make them blue so you know these are different. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Because remember what we know, 10 ones make 10, 10 groups of 10 make 100. So if we're renaming this 100 back over into here, this is there now. Those 10 are there, okay? Now can we take 4 away from that? Yes, we can. So we'll take away 4, oops, 3, 4, right? Now we can come to the 100ths. Oh, but the way this looks in our problem, we go here, we take that 100, and put it right here, that one, put it right here. Okay, so now 12 minus 4, is that possible? It is. And what is the answer to that? It's 8. And 5 minus 3 is 2. So we also need to mark these out. So now you can see it both being drawn out and being worked out in a math problem like this. Okay, so your math problems on your worksheet today, page 213 and 214, all of them, they give you the option of drawing it out and picturing what you're doing, and also solving it here where you have to cross it out and keep track of what you're doing. Both are good practice, all right? In the second half of your book, or the second part of your worksheet on the back, they have a group of problems that all end in zeros. Okay, so these are still three-digit subtractions, but they're simpler because of how many zeros there are in that. And they've written them this way to show you could probably do this in your head just looking at it. Now, if you're having trouble, you're welcome to rewrite it like this on top of each other if that helps you solve it. But if you look at this, 390 minus 200, we can glance in the ones place. Zeros both places, so we know that ones place answer will be 0. We look in the tens place. There's a 9 minus a 0, which means it'll still be 9. And then in the hundreds place, there's a 3 minus a 2. And the answer is 190. So you have a whole group of subtraction problems like that, which have a lot of zeros in them. So they're going to be simpler to do. And that's why they've written them out like that. The very last part of your worksheet is a review on shapes and their attributes, which I'm sure you already remember, but let's just talk about it to remember. Okay, the circle has no straight edges and it has no corners. A square has 4 straight sides and 4 corners, and they're all of equal length. The triangle has 3 straight sides and 3 corners. The rectangle also has 4 straight sides and 4 corners, but 2 sides are longer and 2 sides are shorter. Right, so the back of that worksheet is going to ask you to write down some of the attributes of shapes. How many sides, how many corners? In English, we have been talking about adjectives. An adjective is a word that describes a noun. Okay, and we've learned a lot about them. We've practiced with a lot of them. Let's look at these and remind you even what we just started learning yesterday. Okay, these creatures were made by Mr. Parsons. Didn't he do a good job with that art? Okay. So the brown wolf is fast. Fast is the adjective. It's a good one. Fast describes the wolf. Brown is also an adjective. The brown wolf is fast. But now we've been talking about adjectives can be describing words that compare. What do you think this next one is? The brown wolf is fast. The purple wolf is faster. Faster. It's faster. The purple wolf is faster than the brown wolf. We can compare those two and say faster. The black wolf is, what do you think? The black wolf is fast. Fastest. Okay? So when we're using adjectives, words that can describe by comparing, when we use an adjective that ends in an ER, like fast, plus the ER, then you're usually comparing two things. You can say faster. Purple wolf is faster than the brown wolf. When you use an adjective that you use this ending for, the EST, then you're comparing at least three things, but it could be more. Okay? So fast, faster, fastest. Those are adjectives. And with the faster and the fastest, they're adjectives that compare. When you do your worksheet today, page 241 and 242, you get to use more adjectives that compare, like soft, softer, softest. There is strong, stronger, strongest. Okay, so you're going to fill out those answers, and in some things you're filling in a bubble, and some things you're circling which one is right. And sometimes you might be putting a box around the adjective. So pay careful attention to the instructions and have fun working with more adjectives that compare. In our history today, you're going to open your history book and read a section of your history book, pages 140 to 142. I want you to read it carefully, noticing all the details, because then I'm also going to want you to do two worksheets. Okay, neither of them are very long, and that's why I want you to do both of them. In your reading, you're going to learn about Georgia, one of the colonies, and Georgia was interesting. It has very interesting history, and it was settled or established by a man named James Oglethorpe, who has a very interesting story. So the first worksheet is all about details about Georgia and about the man, James Oglethorpe. So you're going to read about those two things. And then also we have a worksheet that is where you need to make a map, a correct map of these southern colonies. Okay? So you can find all the information you need to do this worksheet right there in your textbook about which colony is which, and answer the questions of what is south and what is north, and color them all the correct color. Okay, so read carefully the pages in your history book and finish your worksheets, and you'll be done with your history for the day. Hello, welcome to science. We're going to do a science demonstration. I have my science assistant, Harper. Now we're talking about matter, how matter can take different forms, solid, liquid, gas, and how matter can change its form. And we've talked about some of this before. Harper, assistant, can you please bring the boiling water? You remember in class, we made water boil, right? And remember, we had to wait quite a while for the water to heat up enough to be boiling, and then even to see a little bit of steam come out. So that's when the water gets hot enough, it actually starts to evaporate, changing from a liquid to a gas. You'll remember also, can you drop just one ice cube in? Just one.
Into here?
Yes. And you remember we dropped one ice cube in, and we watched it melt, so changing from a solid to a liquid, right? Well, happily, today I received a package in the mail that came packed in something called dry ice, which is like cold ice, colder than anything normally cold. It's dangerous. It could hurt you. So You don't play with it. But I'm going to show you a little science demonstration of what can be fun about it, because it can demonstrate some of this, what we're saying, the way matter changes forms in kind of a big, exciting way. You can notice it. Now, what is often involved to change matter's form is temperature. Whether temperature getting colder and something freezes, or temperature getting hotter and something melts, or even something evaporating, becoming a gas. Okay, so that's what is going to affect this is temperature. Okay, so I'm going to get the dry ice, and I'm not touching it because that would be dangerous. This is the dry ice. It's frozen carbon dioxide. So I put it in here, and then when we add the hot water, remember this was just boiling. When we add hot water, it will evaporate so quickly that it makes its own fog. Okay? See that? It happens quickly. You can watch it. Remember, we had to wait so long for this water to boil and then just a little bit of evaporation. But because this is so cold and this is so hot, we watch it immediately change its form from solid to gas. All right? Now, I've told you this before, but one thing that scientists are very good at is wondering. Okay? They just think, I wonder. And then that leads them to try something and learn something new. So when I was playing with this, when I was doing science with this, with my kids earlier, one of them said, I wonder what would happen if we made the water change the color. Okay, so we decided that's what good scientists do. They wonder. So we added food coloring to the water. We thought that it might make the steam change colors, but it didn't. But it does make... See if my other camera man can come closer to see. It does make it more interesting to see. You can see the difference between the solid and the liquid right before it changes to a gas. See how it shows up? We also added bubbles. Okay. So we added bubbles. And then that is also interesting. We might need more water. Assistant, do you want to pour more water in there? There it goes. Okay, so these are bubbles. Wait, oh, and there's a good one. It's filling, the bubble solution is holding it in, but it's filling it up with, go, you want to pop it?
No, it pops on its own, remember?
Show it. Very nice. It can be kind of fun to catch one in your hand. Do you want to hold one in your hand and show them when you catch it?
Sometimes you have to wait for it.
Now clap it. That made us feel like we were doing magic. But all of these are just demonstrating one of the ways that matter changes its form. In this case, being a liquid to, pop it again, a gas.
Oh, gosh.
All right, so you're going to need to read your next section of your science book, which is all about how adding or taking away temperature is part of how matter changes form. Okay, for our science, I've done the demonstration to show one type of one type of matter changing form when we did the dry ice changing from a solid into a gas. I want you to read in your science textbook pages 160 to 161. There are a few pages about temperature and how changing the temperature, either heating up or cooling down, is one of the ways that matter changes its form. I want you to send me 3 sentences. I want you to tell me a sentence that tells me what are the 3 forms of matter. I would like you to give me a sentence example of a matter changing its form. Okay, something melting or something evaporating. And I would like you to tell me one sentence of what did you like best in the dry ice demonstration. So you can write those sentences down on a piece of paper and then have your parents send them to me.